No fingerprints of Lee Oswald.
If we can put his prints on the rifle, I certainly would connect him with the rifle.
Immediately after Oswald's arrest, although the FBI had no legal jurisdiction, J. Edgar Hoover moved quickly to take over the case.
In fact, I have a record in which Hoover said that even though he had no jurisdiction, he started the investigation before being told to.
It never dawned on us until the last minute that they were going to take over the whole investigation. Same thing when they took the body away. They violated the laws of the state of Texas, and they had no jurisdiction over it.
We in the police department here did not know he was in Dallas. I understand the FBI did know that he was in Dallas.
The first law is cover the Bureau's ass, and the second is cover your own.
This has been a joint effort by the Secret Service, the Federal Bureau of Investigation, the Dallas Police Department.
Key eyewitnesses at the scene of the Tippit murder did not identify Oswald as the killer. Journalist Jim Mars said this led to some questionable procedures in the police lineups.
Late in the evening of the day of the assassination, and everybody in the country had heard of the name Lee Harvey Oswald, and that the shots had come from the Texas School Book Depository. So can you imagine how fair the lineup was when Oswald has to step forward and say, "I'm Lee Harvey Oswald, I work at the Texas School Book Depository"? Would it have been hard to pick him out of that one? Not a chance. The lineups were a farce.
We try to make it look as authentic as, make them look alike as much as possible. Same height, same weight, and so forth. Now, in Scoggins, he said that him mouthing and raising hell, he did. Well, he didn't raise all that. He did complain because he said, "I got a T-shirt on and the rest of them got shirts on."
Nothing more than that. I do request for someone to come forward to give me a legal assistance.
How do you sum him up as a man, based on your experience with criminal types?
Oh, I think it's a man that planned this murder weeks or months ago and has laid his plans carefully and carried them out and has planned at that time what he's going to tell the police.
I emphatically deny these charges.
He would have been acquitted in any courtroom in the world.
Oswald was questioned by the FBI and Dallas police for over 12 hours. No official transcript or recording was made of this interrogation. Captain Will Fritz said later the room was too small to accommodate a stenographer. A secret FBI memo at the time revealed that J. Edgar Hoover had ordered the Bureau to convince the public Oswald is the real assassin and to wrap up the investigation because we have the basic facts now.
Oswald was not involved in any way. As a matter of fact, he was standing on the first floor watching the parade.
As the first shots were fired at the president, Associated Press photographer James Alkins took this photograph. In the background, standing in the doorway of the depository, is someone who looks like Lee Harvey Oswald. The FBI, after what they said was careful analysis of Oswald's arrest photos and the shirt, said the man in the doorway was someone else they had discovered, named Billy Lovelady.
Billy Lovelady may very well have been standing in the doorway as he said. He could not be the man in Alkin's picture. And if that is true, then Oswald was on the first floor at the time of the assassination.
Charles Bronson took this film at the time of the assassination. He turned it over to the FBI because he said the film shows the Texas School Book Depository building at the time of the first shots. The FBI analyzed the film and reported the film failed to show the building from which the shots were fired and was not sufficiently clear for identification purposes.
It's not possible to look at something for 5 seconds if you're paying any attention and not recognizing a building, especially the most notorious building in the world at that time. Even worse, not sufficiently clear for identification purposes means no Oswald with a smoking gun. If it didn't have Oswald with a smoking gun, the FBI didn't want any pictures.
The most famous film of the assassination is the Abraham Zapruder film showing the president being killed. One of the most amazing FBI documents is the one in which the Bureau refuses the film because it had no evidentiary value.
It's a time clock on the assassination. It shows the president being killed. No evidentiary value.
The Zapruder film was to be withheld from the public until Jim Garrison filed a lawsuit in his trial of Clay Shaw. While the public wasn't to see the film right after the assassination, they did hear about it.
2 days after the assassination of President Kennedy, the bidding started on the Zapruder film in Abraham Zapruder's living room. Richard Stoley was bidding for Life magazine, and Dan Rather was bidding for CBS TV. CBS authorized him to go up as high as $10,000, and he bid the $10,000, and by the time Zapruder finished laughing, Rather grabbed his coat, ran out of there, ran down to CBS, and out of breath, on the air, started saying, "I've just seen the film of the assassination of President Kennedy." And he goes through this whole story, and he starts recalling what went on. He says, and as the president is struck in the head, he's thrown violently forward. Violently forward? No matter where you think the shots came from, I know of no person who has seen the Zapruder film at any time through the years who doesn't have the immediate impression that the most obvious thing outside of the explosion of the head is the fact that the president is thrown to the rear.
Oswald is hustled through a doorway.
That he told anyone he planned to kill the president.
He hasn't admitted killing the president to anyone.
At a press conference the night of the assassination, District Attorney Wade told reporters that Oswald was a member of the Free Cuba Committee. Nightclub owner Jack Ruby corrected Wade, pointing out that it was called the Fair Play for Cuba Committee.
The FBI was in full cooperation with the CIA and the perpetrators of the assassination within hours. Julianne Mercer on Saturday, the day after the assassination, is telling the FBI about how she saw Jack Ruby unload a young man with a rifle on the grassy knoll. By the next day, they had a photograph of one of the participants in the assassination. An additional day of freedom was allowed him, which would not have been allowed you, not allowed me. We would have been picked up within minutes for questioning. Right now, within minutes. He was never arrested until after he'd eliminated the patsy.
He's been shot. He's been shot.
Mass confusion here.
Gordon Shankland, agent in charge of the Dallas FBI office, testified he had warned the Dallas police beforehand about an anonymous caller who threatened to kill Oswald.
Came into the clerk that was operating the switchboard. The same call I later found out, or probably the same individual, called the sheriff's office.
He called Billy Grammer the night before and warned him that they had to change their plans because we're going to kill him. Another anonymous caller, probably again Jack Ruby, called the FBI, warned them too. So there was advance warnings that they better do something. Ruby didn't want to do this. He had been ordered to silence Oswald.
He figured we'd arrest him, put him in jail, and he'd have to go before the grand jury, and the grand jury say, "Jack, this is a bad thing that you've done, but since Oswald needed killing, well, we're going to let you go this time, but don't do it again."
Ruby was one of those contract employees, is the way to describe him. He was not an agent. By the time he had finished doing some of the things that depended on him, like unloading the rifle with grass and all, he had also placed himself in a position where they had found another chore for him to do. It certainly was a shock to him, but it would have been, I suggest, it would have been presented to him along these lines. Well, Jack, baby, don't say no. I mean, after all, you did participate in the assassination of the president.